Hey everyone, Paulie here from HardDrive Radio, and I'm very excited to be sitting down today with comedian, writer, and soon-to-be Grammy Award winner Brian Posehn. Man, thank you so much for coming to see us today.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thanks.
So you have a brand new album that's out right now, came out on Valentine's Day, called Grandpa Metal.
Yes.
And I've always been a fan of your comedy. I've always been a fan of your work. But it's when you started recording songs that I was really like, I want to hear a full album from this guy. And finally, it's
that's
here.
Cool to hear. Yeah, I mean, for me, I always wanted to do that. Like, once the first one worked, and I had so much fun writing with Scott and performing with, and then doing a video, this was always, like, the goal was to do this. And it took forever, but I feel like it was worth it, like, the time and,
I think I had read in a couple other interviews you had done that it's taken about 6 years to put this all together. I mean, that's a long time
it is.
Working on a project.
I've called it the Chinese democracy of comedy metal records because it's a ridiculous amount of time to spend on anything. And we didn't spend $13 million like he did on that record. And
we'll save that for the next one.
Nice.
With a guy who's as busy as you are, you're writing, you're doing stand-up, you're acting in TV shows, just getting the amount of people that you have on this album together to record is a problem enough, but like, where do you find the time in your schedule to put all this stuff together?
Well, I got lucky because the producer, Jay Rustin, is not only my pal, but he lives close by. So like, it really became a thing of like, he's in town, he's not, he's busy too. And so was Scott Ian and Brendan Small, the other guys I wrote with. So it was really like when we could get together. And then once Jay and I got to a certain point, we didn't need Scott and some of the other guys because it was just me like filling in vocal parts or like listening to somebody solo. And so I would just go over to his house and, it felt longer than 6 years, really. Like the whole my son has grown up during this. But that wound up being actually really great of having him so close.
When you guys were writing these songs, I mean, most bands, they're sitting down, they have a riff, and like maybe the lyrics come last. Did you have an idea lyrically and then kind of work backwards from there?
Yeah, so it would always be like a concept for the song, and then I would tell Scott like what kind of riffs I was thinking. So like the first one we wrote was Satan is Kind of a Dick, and so that was just like think Slayer, and I came up with that line of they don't play Slayer in hell, and so that really like influenced the feel of the song and the riffs that he wrote. And same with the other one, quarter Viking, three quarters. I didn't know what I could say. I didn't know if I could say the name of my actual song.
Here. Go ahead, say it, man. One quarter
Viking, three quarters pussy, which is about me. And but I felt like, oh, this has got to feel like an Amon Amarth song. And we wound up getting Johan Hegg, but the riff was John Denaeus, like doing his best, kind of death metal, Norwegian death metal kind of riff. And it was like every song had that kind of thing of me going, this should feel like this. And then those guys did that. Like when you're friends with them, some of the best metal players ever, it comes easy. It was really like the record was only going to suck if I sucked.
No pressure.
And if the concepts weren't strong and the jokes weren't strong and my vocals weren't strong, the music was always going to be good. The riffs were always going to be there. And then when you get people like, Gary Holt doing solos, it's like, it was really up to me to fuck this record up,
But you did not.
I didn't. I tried not to. Yeah.
It's going back and listening to, Metal by Numbers from, over 10 years ago at this point, and listening to albums now, I feel like your vocal delivery has really improved.
Thank you. I've tried. And that also comes from Jay being really patient with me and us working and like, and then me going back and fixing things. Like some of the vocals I feel like got better because I did spend 6 years on it. Like Satan, I've messed with that till we were almost done. Like he was finally like, stop fucking with this song. We got to get it out, And then it was the same thing with, like other people would do vocals. Like I did Goblin Love with Jill Janus. And I did like this, I was doing my version of like a goblin, but I was kind of half-assing it. And then I heard hers and she killed it. So I had to go in and re-record my vocals. But so it was, luckily I got to do that, because it was my project. So.
And just amazing to have, Jill Janus on a couple of these tracks. She's unfortunately not with us anymore, but, it's incredible. I'm so glad that she got to be a big part of this project.
Yeah, and I've been sitting on it, obviously for so long. She's gone almost 2 years now, and it's it was rough, and but knowing that, oh man, I can't wait for people to hear this. I feel it feels good to have that out there now, especially Goblin Love, because she's so funny in it too. Like, she's not just this badass metal vocalist; she was a funny girl and a friend of mine. So.
I was very disappointed that goblinlove.com was not an actual website. As soon as I heard it in the album, I went there immediately.
I knew somebody was. We should have locked that down. Yeah. I feel bad for not. Maybe it's not too late. Is there something there?
There's a splash page there. You can buy this domain for however much it is. So
nice.
It might not be too late. We
got to set that up.
Just looking at the amazing list of talent that you have on this album, Gary Holt, you have, Alex Skolnick from Testament, you got Corey Taylor. I mean, how many of these people do you have personal relationships with, and how many is it just like you made the phone call and they're like, yeah, that sounds fun?
The only ones that I'm not friends with were Jan Haig, who I've met, but that came from Jay hooking us up because Jay was doing the Amon Amarth record at the time. And so that came easy. And then Jeff Pilson, I met separately. I was at a Y&T show in the Valley, and I ran into him, the guy from Dokken. And I'm a thrash guy, but I love my Dokken, and I love some Rat and some of that early 80s stuff. I'm not ashamed. And it's not a guilty pleasure. No, I like that shit for real. and so getting Jeff Pilson on the record, but that was Jay also. Everybody else, I made the call though. Like, all the Bay Area thrash guys, I've been real lucky that I've known a lot of those dudes for 10, 15 years now. So, and even Death Angel going back even longer, like we knew each other when we were all kids. Like, I would go to their shows, and Mark Osagueda was like, "You're the stand-up guy." Like, I was starting stand-up when we met, so.
Are you known as like the comedian who's into metal? Like, in
I don't
area?
think so, because, well, in that area, yeah, but out here you've got Florentine and Jameson and all those other guys. But yeah, for the Bay Area, absolutely.
So that's a important burden to
yeah. No, it's crazy because like I do shows in San Francisco, and like Zetro's there, dudes from Exodus and guys from DRI and whoever else, it's crazy.
And it's just an amazing what you've been able to put together, and the fact that it's all really funny. Like, this isn't just like some kind of vanity project. Like, everyone's like, oh, that's cool. It's really good stuff. Specifically the title track, Grandpa Metal, where you just like really stick it to Scotty, and he seemed like a really good sport about it too.
He's so good at taking my. We bust each other's balls. We have for, it's part of our friendship. And I've called him Grandpa Metal before the record, forever, actually. And because he, like I make fun of on the record, he doesn't check out new music, or he does, and then he doesn't like it, and so that conversation of me going, hey, have you heard this? Have you heard... And the funny thing is, I made up Hot Coffin, and I said, hey, have you heard Hot Coffin? They're from Norway. There really is a Hot Coffin, of course. Because like when I thought of Hot Coffin, I was like, that's too good. Like, that should be a metal band. And of course it is. But like when I have conversations, the song was just from me, because I've done that for years, of like, hey, this band has a Maiden thing. He's like, yeah, you know who else has a Maiden thing? Maiden. And I'm like, God damn it. Like, that's a conversation we've had.
Do you enjoy checking out new bands? Is there anything new that you're listening to?
Nothing brand new. I'd love to find somebody who I haven't heard yet that's brand new, but Power Trip and Havoc, more recent. And of course, those bands both feel, influenced by all the stuff that's got to be a thing for me too. Like, it's got to be a little thrashy. I don't get into stuff where it's just noise for noise sake. There's got to be verse and chorus and
little musicality to
yeah, for me to really hook into stuff.
Let's kind of do the opposite of that and say, what were the first metal bands that really got you hooked?
Well, so Maiden is the first one that, like, that's the one that changed my life. Like, I was already a Kiss fan as a kid, And then in the late 70s, early 80s, as I'm going through junior high and high school, heavy metal and hard rock was getting faster and heavier. And, you know, so I went from UFO and Van Halen and all that and AC/DC to then, you know, Priest, Maiden, and then Metallica comes out when I'm in high school and all that stuff. So it was like perfect timing of like, as I wanted things to be more aggressive, you know, like I hear Accept, Fast as a Shark, and then I hear Metallica and all this other stuff. And it's like, oh, it was perfect.
You know, growing up in that time where that music was really kind of front and center in like the popular mindset, and then looking at where metal is today, where it's really kind of a niche market. Do you miss the old days, or are there just less posers?
No, because I liked it before it was popular.
Okay.
Yeah, like in
Ultimate
my high
hipster
school, like it was all Van Halen and Def Leppard kids. And I was into Anthrax and, you know, Metallica my senior year, and kids were like, who's that? I wrote like Yngwie is God on a white t-shirt. I was that dude. So I didn't really fit in. There was me and two other guys that were totally into new metal and checking new things out. And then I had my friends that were like the Rush guys, because I was also a Rush guy, which was just completely separate from metal. But
well, I mean, you could like the prog metal route.
Right,
There's
right,
bands that straddle that line. You know, one of the songs on the album is a song called New Music Sucks. And it's amazing because it's not a metal song.
No.
It's like super synthy and very poppy. And one of the things that really I loved about the song was how repetitive it was, which is exactly what pop music sounds like these days.
So that's, again, it's Brendan Small and Scott Ian being the great musicians they are. Scott actually wrote that. Like, it doesn't sound like a Scott Ian song, but he wrote it with Brendan, and we all took a bullet for everybody because we listened to a bunch of bullshit, a lot of terrible music to come up with the song. And those guys really like were checking out because there's a lot of songs that sound the same in that, you know, literally, like it's the same drum beat, it's the same, you know, melody. And so that's what we did. And then to get like guys from Fall Out Boy to be on it and make fun of themselves, and then to get the robot voice and me doing I don't even remember what that thing's called, the Cher that Cher has on her voice.
Oh, yeah.
What's
I forget
that?
what that's called.
Auto tuning.
Yeah.
Yes, there's not a lot of auto tuning in metal, or not the stuff I listen to. But yeah, so we did some serious auto tuning on my voice, and it was a lot of fun.
Now, when was that song recorded? Because in the reprise, you come back and like list a whole bunch of more artists.
Yeah. So I think we finished it 2 years ago or so, and then the reprise is new. The reprise I finished last year, and that was Joe Troman, my buddy, like
A Fall Out Boy.
Yeah, but making fun of the fact that like he's like Katy Perry, Lady Gaga is like, dude, that stuff's like 10 years old. Like, when was the last time you actually listened to new music? And I was like, it's been a while. So he made me listen to other new bands, because we had started that song so many years before, and then I was exposed to Chainsmokers and Halsey, Post Malone, and
I'm
all
so
that.
sorry.
Ugh. And then I'm in Uber a lot, in Ubers a lot, and that's how I hear shitty music, is I'm exposed to, you know. I'll look up and go, what the hell is? Oh, never heard of Shawn Mendes before, but he sucks.
What's your opinion on the Post Malone tune with Ozzy?
It's terrible.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I love Ozzy, but it's garbage.
It is. You know, I would love to see like an annual update, just like put out a new song each year, calling out all the new artists that you hate. I think that would be amazing.
I think we're doing a video. Well, I know we're doing a video, and I think some young people are going to be really mad at Grandpa. Millennials and post-millennials are going to be
In your
like,
face, kids.
And I have nothing against young people, but they're going to hate me, I think, because of this song.
So with the you know, this album and the other comedy songs that you've recorded in your earlier works, do you think you maybe have enough now to maybe put out a live show?
I do, but that's like not in my wheelhouse. I'm kind of worried about actually having to do that. I'd really have to rehearse, I think, because I've only performed live once in front of a real band. We did Golden Gods a couple years ago, and we did the other song, More Metal Than You, the second song I did. And that was nerve-wracking. It was one of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever done. And then I've performed Grandpa Metal 3 times now with Scott and Joey Vera. And just doing that 2.5 minute, 3 minute song, it's terrifying to me because because it's not what I do. And when I'm recording, I'm in the booth. So if I mess up, we can go back but like memorizing lyrics, I don't know why, because I can memorize jokes and I think I just need more time with it. I need to mess around with it.
I was gonna say, with like as much stand up if you've done
and
in your
dialogue,
career.
like I do sitcoms and I memorize, pages, but for me, the 3 times I performed Grandpa Metal, I've had, the song in my hand as I'm screaming it, and people are like, "That looks super professional."
I would love to see like a double headline tour of like doing like a comedy set and then followed by a musical set.
That's the idea. So we've done like a version of that on the Mega Cruise, and so Scott and I have talked about doing a tour where we go out and he does like a half hour of stories. I come out, do a half hour of comedy, and bring him back up, and then we do a couple of songs. But never doing like all the songs I've written. That would be terrifying.
Well, if we could make this happen and you can summon the courage to be there, who would you want in your live band? What's your dream team lineup?
Well, I would love to get the guys that are on it. I mean, if I could get Brendan Small to play, guitar, and have him and Scott and Joe, those guys be my 3 guitar players, and then Joey Vera, who I've loved forever, great bass player, and then somebody like Tempesta I'd probably bring out. I love John Tempesta. He's a great drummer, but he's also fun to hang out with and yell drunk things at each other. So,
well, the album is Grandpa Metal. It is out now. Brian Posehn, man, thank you
thanks.
so much.
Yeah, nice talking to you,
awesome.
man. Thanks.